Ha. Say good morning to people first. Hey, Wanda in the breezy foothills of New Hampshire. Thanks, Ellen. Hi, Laura in Michigan. Guess I need my glasses on. Hey, Annie in Cape Ann and Emily. Good morning. And EK in Dublin, Ireland. Nice. Across the pond there. Hey, Betty L. down east Maine. Bunch of Mainers here today. Ellen, hello. The Tower of Babel. I heard that Santa Claus is Nimrod. Oh, interesting. Hi, Beth, out there in Oregon, and Gertrude in Belgium. Welcome and good morning, everyone. Peace, love, and light. Welcome to Not Church, mysticism in the Bible and beyond. We're going to be covering the Gospel of Mary Magdalene in the coming weeks. No doctrine, no dogma, no Bravo, Sierra. Community Shaktipat, or also called spiritual energy transmission, sometimes called Soma, sometimes called the Holy Spirit. We explore metaphors, similes, and symbols used by the wisdom teacher, primarily used by the wisdom teacher, Jesus, in the myths and mystical stories found scattered throughout the Bible, but of course in the Gospels, but also in the extra outside Gospels, and not just Christianity, and beyond. As there is light found in the writings and in the actuality of Taoism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, shamanism, and many others, so there is light hiding inside the Bible. Christian mysticism has a rich tradition of communication of the mystical truths whose meaning of the words have been forgotten. The words are still there, but the meanings have been forgotten, ignored, and yes, also repressed by the church for centuries. It always lives hidden in the human heart, inside the human being, inside everything, everywhere, all the time. The word for everything, everywhere, all the time is pan. I love that. Pan. Peter Pan. Introducing Peter Pan. Panentheism. Panentheism. With an en in the middle between the pan and the theism. Panentheism. The ineffable, capital I, is greater than this universe, than the multiverse, than all the heavens, yet includes and interpenetrates all of it. Panentheism. As a portion of the infinite and loving consciousness, as a portion of the infinite and loving mind, all capital letters, itself, themselves, that lives inside of you and is at your core. It is who you are. It is who I am. It is what we are. It is where we're from. Our earth, our humanity, in the nick of time, is finally awakening. Today, as a herald of the great global awakening, I'm speaking to you today of the great global awakening is now. And in the Tower of the Babel myth, we find some mythological truths about us now. And this is all in Genesis 11. Human beings have built a technology that reaches heaven. And I'm not talking about the rocket ships to Mars. And has created an international nation of near-death experiencers. And it matters. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about near-death experiencers and their importance to the great global awakening that's underway now and has been for 60 years. I'm going to look over here at the chat for a second. See what's going on over there. What do we got? Apocrypha, Dead Sea Scrolls, Nag Hammadi. Yes, for sure, Elaine. Hey, Charles, over there in Ireland. Uh, I definitely believe the Holy Spirit is female, says Eden Rose. Uh, Light is hidden in the Bible. Great way to say it. Thanks, Carmen. Andrew, hello, beautiful light-filled souls. My friend Trisha, she has a light-filled soul. Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. All right, my friends, I'm going to go back to what we were talking about. You had a tiny NDA, a tiny NDE, Elaine. I was blinking, bewildered in utter darkness. Come see me, talk about it. Maybe come to Mystic Tea Salon today. Rocking the mime style today, says Kristen. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I appreciate. Am I blushing? I'm probably blushing. Okay. Yes, I am. My roots, or I should say. All right. So, hi there, Freetness in Cleveland. I should get back to what I was doing. All right. Here we go. So, silence is the language of Allah. All else is poor translation, wrote and understood Rumi. Thus, mystics are left with the problem of speaking about the unspeakable. The voice of the ineffable is mythical. All right. Thanks. Oh, yeah, that's true, Elaine. I didn't recognize your last name, but I remember an Elaine for sure. All right. So let's take a breath and follow me, okay? Imagine your breath as a wheel. Down your front on the inhale. Hold. Up your back on the exhale to your third eye. Down to your root chakra, which is right between your hip ball joints, and back up to your third eye, up your spine. A circle, a wheel. So today, more advanced students, try this wheel. Breathe down to your to your root, and back up to your eye, and make this wheel turn. Now we begin with 3 ohms, and then centering prayer using your wheel-based breath. Relaxed breath, no need to force it in your centering prayer practice. Unless you're advanced students and you want to try this a few times. So I'm going to do this with me. Do this with me a few times. I'm going to force this, okay? I'm going to use a more of like a pranayama style breath. And then we're going to go right into our 3 ohms. And what happens as a result of this kind of breathing and focus into your chakras is that you enliven and illuminate your chi or your prana, and it rises and it raises up and circles through. Like it flows down into you and it rises up and it makes this flow. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do a few hard breaths first, circling, then ohms, then into centering prayer. You all set? Okay. Oh, you didn't get an email this morning, Kathy. Here we go. Force it into your third eye. Three ohms. centering practice. Ride your wheel. Come join us on practice on Mondays and Wednesdays, live on YouTube, and on Tuesdays, live on Zoom. Share the Shakti. Share the Shaktipat. Share the Soma. The great global awakening is now, and the Tower of the mythical Babel. In Genesis 11, the story of the Tower of Babel is mostly from the New Living Version in translation. Here it is. At one time, and I'm going to read it theatrically because it's fun. At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylon. I'm slaughtering it already. They found a plain in the land of Babylonia with plenty of clay and settled there. They began saying to each other, "Let's make bricks and harden them with fire and use tar for mortar." Then they said, "Come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches to the sky or heaven. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world." But the ineffable came down to look at the city and the tower the people were building. "Look," they said, "the people are united, and they all speak the same language. After this, after making this city and this tower, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other, and they will scatter." If no one speaks the same tongue, they can't communicate. But there is a new tongue, a unifying tongue, a tongue of fire burning in the hearts of near-death experiencers and other mystics. But we're talking mostly about near-deathers today. And it's burning inside them like a tongue of fire with intensity in our hearts. And it's what we're here to talk about today. The tongue of fire is found within, right here. And the tower built by medical science, the tongue of fire is found here, but it's coming to illumination, coming to a reality by the tower built by medical science. I've talked of this before. that reaches heaven, and here it is in the Bible, and brings back messengers and messages. Medical science has built a tower that reaches up to heaven and brings back messengers of love with messages of love and life beyond this world in the heaven and heavens. Notice the plural and the singular, heaven and heavens. In Genesis, the word heaven or heavens is both, just like the hovie vuvie, is both singular and plural. It's a paradox. It's both. And the word is sha-me'im. We find sha-me'im and the meaning of heaven or heavens all through Genesis 1 and 2. We've touched in the heaven and heavens. Before the heavens and the earth were created, Sha-me'im is the abode of God. Before the heavens and the earth, before Sha-me'im is before the heavens and the earth. It is the abode of God that precedes the heaven and the earth. The Sha-me'im, plural and singular, like the hovie vuvie, like the Elohim, the paradox. Abode of the beloved. That's what Sha-me'im is. Heaven means the abode of the beloved, the storage place of all love, the home of abundance love, the storehouse of love, the origin of love, the Sha-me'im. And sometimes Sha-me'im is singular, and sometimes it's plural in translation. But this is the paradox. Always the paradox with God. Always the paradox with God. Talk. And in reality. In the presence of the divine in heaven, all is paradox. And so it's natural for us to speak about it in paradox and paradoxical terms here. Basically, biblically, tribalism begins in Babylon. Nomads shared a single language, and who were, according to the myth, the only people on the planet. And they settled in a valley, and they built a city using, here it is, high technology and collective action. They had formulated not just in language, but a society, a people, and they developed high technology. No longer are we going to build with stone like those Neanderthals over there. We're going to build with brick, actually. Neanderthals, they probably, I don't know what they did. Okay, so now I went off track here. I have no idea if Neanderthals actually made bricks. Probably not, but I'd have to look that up. So we're not going to use stone like those other people over there. We're going to build ourselves a city using high technology, brick making. And remember that mythically, Babel follows Noah's flood, which was, please recall, the divine, like Shiva the destroyer, dissatisfied with humanity, who commits a genocide, leaving a remnant, Noah and his people, to repopulate the earth. This Babel tribe of the Bible is that mythological remnant grown to city size and capable of engineering a tower built of fired bricks and mortar. In actual history, bricks were a hot climate building technology first used by humans 9,000 years ago, as discovered in southern Turkey around the ancient city of Jericho. Yes, that Jericho that came tumbling down in the Bible mythology, and maybe even in actuality. The earliest bricks were sun-baked, but then fire was added. And the greatest breakthrough came 5,500 years ago with that invention of the fired brick. Cities could be built rapidly if there was enough fuel and labor and wood and pitch or tar or as the King James Version calls it, slime. We could build a city, we humans. Back, okay, rough little track again. We're going to go back to the utilizers of this technology in Babylon. Mythically, biblically, this is where cities begin in the unity of language, culture, purpose, and society, tribalism. This can be seen as a beginning of civilization, in which this society reached an advanced stage of social and cultural development, cohesion, and organization. They could pass technology down generation to generation. Anthropologists speak of the relationship between culture and language. Culture and language, they go together. They go together like peanut butter and chocolate. The former begets the latter, culture begets language, and language begets culture. The former begets the latter, and the latter begets the former. Culture and language are tied in human society. The passing down and sharing of knowledge, while not unique to human beings, we know that dolphins pass down knowledge. We know that birds pass down knowledge. It's not unique to human beings, but with human beings, it reached and reaches, it reached a pinnacle with the development of spoken language, and we're still reaching for pinnacles. What our forebearers learned about technology is passed down to us in largest part because we speak and write language. And culturally speaking, our language contains our culture. The two are interwoven. This is the major difference. This is a major difference between societies. It's why in China, that is developed through Taoism and Confucianism, they have a different mindset. Language creates mindset, and culture creates language, and language creates culture, which begets a mindset, a way to think. And if we can't speak the same language, it's very difficult to communicate, period. Technology, on the other hand, it builds upon itself. You probably know this. You don't get light bulbs until you master electricity. You don't get bricks, and baked bricks anyway, fired bricks, until you get fire mastered. Technology builds on itself. That's the way the whole thing works. You know, remember the flip phone? Now we've got cell phones that have more processor capacity than the first NASA moon landing. Technology builds upon itself, and as we all know, the human capacity for technological development and knowledge, it seems unbounded. I mean, we're seriously thinking about sending a very super, super tiny, tiny spacecraft to another star system on a sail powered by lasers. Our knowledge, our technological development, it seems unbounded. Human beings are extraordinarily capable. Back to Babel. Now, before this city-minded people arrived on a plain in Mesopotamia, they had already become one tribe, one people with technological knowledge. As a tribe is a traditional society consisting of families and communities. Tribes can be massive. In this case, sometimes they can even be nation-sized. And actually, now we are. In this particular case in Babel, according to the myth, okay, it's the only community in existence. Now, we know that that's totally not true. We know that's totally not true. But for the sake of the story, they're the only community in existence. And because of the myth, we know that they were linked socially, economically, religiously, with blood ties, and they shared a common culture and a dialect. And this is what a tribe is. And they typically have a recognized leader or set of leaders. Thanks, Google. So tribes have leadership, and this leadership of this tribe, they want to build a city. Such was Babel. These people wanted to build a city and create a tower that reached heaven, or some translate it the sky. But in those days, this was a dome. The mythological understanding is that there was a dome, and above the dome were the waters of heaven. Okay? So the sky for them, it was sort of like the flat earth society idea. Sort of like that. Only there's water above and not the universe. It's kind of flat thing on pillars. But they wanted to build a tower that reached to heaven. And they wanted to make a name for themselves. And this is important. They wanted to become famous. They wanted to nick a name for themselves, which kind of is crazy if they're the only tribe on earth. For whom would they need to brag? To whom would they need to brag to make a name for themselves? But remember, naming shows up in Genesis as a technique of power. The Adam, the human one, had the capacity to name all the things that could be named. And even eventually, misogynistically, waiting a whole long time, Eve got a name. They're still trying to make names, a name for ourselves. And I know, here's the thing. My human name, my sense of identity, it all fell away when I died. I had no human name. To make a name for myself here is temporary, of no material duration, of no matter ultimately. For no name is who I am here. And no tongue here can speak my true name. I can't even say it. Remember the Havye, the Elohim, the YHWH, has no name. That enters into this myth as well. Human beings in this myth still want to name themselves. And the Elohim says, there is no name. They wanted to make a name for themselves. The ineffable said, the unspeakable said, I have no name. The ineffable comes by to see what the humans are doing and finds them united in language and purpose. Looks around, listens in, and learns that the humans want to build a tower of technology to reach Shamayim, the heavens, the heavenly abode, the home of Elohim. The humans want to build a tower that reaches to heaven. Remember this fiery sword of the angel at the gate that we spoke of weeks ago? No admittance. But we know that that's not true. We actually know that there is admittance, that you can pass the fiery gate. I've done it myself, not of my own volition. But in this myth, the Elohim is like, they're getting too close. So, behold, the Elohim, they say to themselves. Those crackerjack humans share a language, and this is just the start of what they're going to be able to accomplish. Nothing will restrain them from what they imagine to do, what they think of. Nothing's going to stop them. Nothing. Human beings are unrestrainable, but frustratable, thinks the mythological god. And so the Shiva side of Elohim arrives again and magically F's up their human plans by destroying their language. And suddenly all work stops because everyone notices that no one understands what anyone else is saying. And the city dissolves as the people flee across the earth and fill the earth with diversity. In our Western mythological beginning, all human beings are one, mythologically speaking, in the West. But I got to ask myself, what is the threat to the Elohim? Why did they feel, capital T, why did they feel unsafe from human ingenuity? I don't know. In this second recreation myth, this is the second restart. Remember, Noah was a restart. The Elohim worried that human technology would one day reach the abode of the source. And what's the problem with that? I don't know. But guess what? We did. Back in the 1960s, humans built the first technology tower to heaven capable of raising the dead, which they call resuscitation, primarily through cardiac care. As medical technology advanced and spread, you see the illusion here? The technology development of human beings reaching up to the sky, up to heaven, up to the edge of heaven, and the Tower of Babel. You see the mythological balance here? And with this technology, this medical technology advanced and spread over the globe around the world for the last 60 years until there are tens and tens of millions of humans who have visited Shamaim, the abode of the beloved, and come back telling truths of light, love, peace, healing, wholeness, beauty, abundance, paradise, and ineffability far beyond the ability of human language to describe. We have done it. We have built a tower that reaches up to heaven from here. We have found a way to see the truth of love and life everlasting. And it doesn't matter who you are. You die, medical technology intervenes, or something else intervenes, and you come back having visited Shamaim, heavens, or heaven. You remember the serpent? The serpent was right. And we're proving this with our own technology. And the messengers who are returning, we're proving that the serpent was right. We do not die. We transition in the wink of an eye, says St. Paul. And then we see face to face, no longer in a mirror dimly. There have always been near-death experiencers, mystical geniuses, and masters like Jesus. And maybe you've heard me cite Marjorie Wollicott's research paper at the IANS conference last year that shows that nearly 50% of the population sampled of about 350 people that she studied had an after-death communication, which is to say a bona fide, life-changing, transformational, mystical experience. The problem has been that mystical experiences have been repressed and taboo in society. Our language has been confused. Here's another language level of the myth. Our language about heaven is confused. We can't even talk about this, not directly, not accurately. So even here in our discussion, the mythology of Babel exerts itself. This story of Babel just isn't about the development of technology and the capacity of the human brain to reach unto heaven. It's also about the inability of humanity to speak about it. And so few of us have ever wanted to be seen as the kook. That's why we keep our mouths shut about that thing we can't talk about, because we can't talk about it because we don't have words for it. And when we do talk about it, it sounds like it's something else. For the first time in human history, there are tens of millions of near-death experiencers alive right now in every nation on the earth. Some of them are here with us this morning. And we're speaking every single language in the world. And yet, we are united in the unspeakable language of the heart, the fire tongue of the heart. This language we all speak. Let every near-death experiencer, I beg you, speak up where you are. If you don't want to talk about yourself in public, talk to the people near you. Declare yourself. We are legion. Let's normalize NDE with which will in turn, okay, so when we normalize near death experience, we will help normalize all mystical experiences. So this is a call out to all near death experiencers. Speak up. Talk about your mystical experiences. Talk about your trip to heaven and the technology that brought you back. Humanity has changed the way we interact through this medical technology, allowing us. They have astronauts that go into heavens, to the stars or to the space. We don't go to the stars yet, but we do go to space, and psychonauts, which uh, take trips in their altered states. What do we call near-death experiences? That name is really, really long. We're like astronauts. We take a trip and then we come back, and we come back different. All mystical experiences, I want all mystical experience is to be able to be spoken of in the public square, freely in the public squares. That's really what I'm after. This great global awakening of all these mystical experiencers who are technologically brought back from heaven are everywhere on the earth. And we have this illumination inside us that we didn't earn. We didn't meditate our way to it. We kind of cheated our way into it. And here it is, but we got it. And so it's our message to spread to the public square. There are so many of us. Let's change the human conversation. Let's begin the 21st century with this new illumination being spoken. The more we talk about it, the more we have a chance to save ourselves from ourselves. And maybe that's what this myth was all about in the first place. Saving ourselves from ourselves. Why could that be? Well, I should have said maybe that's what the myth of Noah was all about. That's the myth I meant to make. Maybe that's the myth of Noah, is that human beings have this natural destructiveness inside ourselves. We are animals, after all. But also inside ourselves is the very goodness and the origin of light that lives inside us. This goodness is the core of who we are. And this is awakened and remembered in a near death experience and in every other kind of mystical experience. This great global awakening is a remembrance of where we were before, where we're from. And it seems to me to be the only thing that's ever going to save humanity from itself. It's this language of the unifying light within, all capital letters. The light, it magnifies itself. When there are 20 or 30 million gathered, the I am is there, binding us together in a light net around the world, glowing brighter than the sum of our parts. The great global awakening began 60 years ago with medical technology, a tower we built for ourselves. And if we have enough time in this century, if we don't destroy ourselves in a third world war, then together, through the climate changes that are increasing in the 21st century, we have an opportunity to nudge the world. So let's illuminate our hearts as much as we can now and get through this rough patch so that we can nudge the world into a new understanding of humanity, a flow of heaven here. Shami'im comes through us into the world. This creates a new earth for humanity and for all creatures who live upon it. Now, in summary, a mystical reading of the 4 creation myths and the 2 creation remyths, kind of recreation myths, tell us that love panentheistically pervades all things and precedes all things and is greater than the universe and is made of goodness and flows from the crystal river of life, of all life, inside us and through us, inside all things that are, and that we are made of the original goodness, and to the original goodness we return. And that's the summary of this entire series of mythologies. You are original goodness. You just forgot. And you can find it inside yourself. And from the first day that I opened my Bible, following my near-death experience, I saw hidden stories. I saw the hidden truth within the stories because I became illuminated. We are all made of golden light. and death isn't real, and sin doesn't exist in heaven. Forgiveness and love is all there is, and we can bring that heaven's light here. And we are bringing the heaven's light here into the world now. So humanity has a chance. The universal light is our only chance. And now that we finish with this quick survey of the creation stories and recreation stories, we're ready. Okay, we're finally ready. I think, in my humble opinion, we're finally ready to move back to the sayings of Jesus. Okay, but first, I got to tell you this. Next week, I'm not going to be here. Next week, I'm going to be with my son and his friends on a ski weekend for his bachelor party in anticipation of his wedding coming the last weekend in May. I got invited to my son's bachelor party. I am going. We're going to be doing the most fun thing in the world that we've ever done together. Well, that's not quite true, but we've had lots of fun on the mountains. And we're going back up to the mountain with all his buddies for a weekend. And I've got my own place away from these guys so that they can have their own space. But I'll be back here at Not Church the following Sunday when we're going to begin to dive into the wisdom sayings of Jesus. And we're going to start in the Gospel of John in the 4th chapter with the so-called Samaritan woman at the well. Now, you may not have known this, but she has another traditional name, which will help reframe our understanding. She is also called Fautine, the luminous one. Now, if you've listened to me this morning all the way through this, please subscribe. And once we finish with Fautine, we're going to go to the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. So please subscribe if you want to hear that stuff. And thanks to you and thanks to the beloved for being here week to week. Your gifts and your encouragement really seriously keep me going. I'm an independent person. I have broken from the church, and I'm, I can't do this without you. And I want to keep it free and public rather than erecting paywalls like memberships, because the light belongs to everyone. And I am instructed to give it away as the ineffable voice instructed me even before I died. Visit peterpanagore.love. And I'm available for counseling or spiritual conversation, like I had with Elaine, by appointment at peterpanagore.love. And so you can join us at the top of the next hour for our international mystical conversation at Mystic Tea Salon. Bring your mystical experiences. Link below. I'm going to check the time. Boy, this was a long one today. 10:44. We don't have a whole lot of time here to chat, but I'm going to go over to the chat here. Yes, I do have Cynthia Bourgeau's book, The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, behind me. I thought it would. Good. I'm glad you noticed. I'm reading it for the second time in a row in preparation for what we're going to do when we talk about Mary, the Gospel of Mary. Thank you, Mary S. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Where's the link to your chat after this? It's in the description below, Elaine. It's under Mystic Tea Salon. You should be able to see it down there. And if it's not there for some crazy reason, let me know. You're welcome, Maureen. Your message is so refreshing, says Candyman, as well as the comments from the group. Yeah, so I don't get to read the chat. I really would like to be able to read the chat all the way along, but I can't. So this is really your space, and I'm so glad to hear that there is a space here, that you hold the space with each other and bring into the chat wisdom. I'm sure that you do. Thank you, Michael. I will enjoy the bachelor party. It's going to be great. Going to be ripping it up at the mountain. Yeah. So okay, so a personal thing. I love to ski. Been skiing since I was 7 years old. It's a great thing. Good prep during the week. You're gone. Yeah, I thank you. I will be. Good reading. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to scoot back up to the top. We got about 10 minutes or so here and see what I can find in the conversation. Got to put these on. So yes, Peter Panagore, the mime. That was way back at 10:06. Demiurge Yahweh. Let's see. Shamiim also means there is water, says Ariane. I didn't know that. Shamaim also means there is water, like the crystal river flowing from under the throne. I didn't know that. The Torah is like water you can't live without. Arian, thank you. Hello, Peter, from your sick bed in the UK. Hey, Cal Extra, I hope you get better well soon. I hope you get better and well soon. And Christine in Redondo Beach. Good morning. Zvadana Poljanik. How is this time great global awakening? Is woke global awakening? Yes. It is. Well, you mean being woke? I don't think so. I think that's a different phenomenon. I don't really know. I'm talking about the divine light itself, the indwelling. I'm talking about illumination. I'm not talking about a social or political movement. I'm talking about a spiritual movement. That's the awakening. It's sort of like what happened to, I guess, Jesus up on the mountain in the transfiguration sort of thing. Good question, though. And I hope I didn't slaughter your name too badly. Good morning, Jan on the West Coast. Cal Extra, thank you. Carmen. Culture and language, mythology and etymology. Gertrude, that's right. Those two things, mythology and etymology, culture and language. Let's see. Great global awakening probably has something to do with the internet. Oh, it totally does. Thank you, Elaine. It totally does. We're talking to each other. I mean, we're able to have a conversation right here, right now about this. We can find each other. Being a mystic of any kind, a near-death experiencer, or someone who's been to the oneness of being or had a Kundalini awakening is also a lonely experience, or at least it has been culturally, because it's been repressed. The internet makes it possible for us to find each other and to talk about it. I get talking so fast. I can't move my lips fast enough. Yes. So the internet does absolutely 100%. Oh, you're reading Carlos Castaneda, Mary. I'm a fan of Carlos Castaneda. Read all those books back in college. Learned a lot from them. They certainly succeeded in becoming famous. Elaine, that's very funny. They did, didn't they? Those Babylonians, they made a name for themselves. That's ironically the opposite happened from what the divine had hoped. They made a name for themselves. That's very funny. That's totally true. The internet and Indra's net have a lot in common. Indra's net. Want to speak about that? I've heard about it. I think it's what I'm talking about when I talk about the light net. Only a couple minutes left here. Let's see. Google it. All right, I will. I'll Google it too. It's a metaphor, like like goddess mind, an interconnected net of conscious jewels, all reflecting each other. That's what I'm talking about. Indra's net. That's cool. A metaphor for the goddess mind, an interconnected net of conscious jewels, all reflecting each other. Indra's net. That's what I'm talking about with the light net. It is this thing. Individual gems of light inside our hearts, interconnected to each other. Sounds beautiful. Those paddles to bring you back hurt. Oh, yeah, I bet they do, Elaine. I bet they do. Oof. I was just thinking that I would like to hear you sing Indra's Net once more, Carmen, says Michael. Thanks, Michael. Always happy to sing. I hope you sing. Hope you open us. I hope you open us up, Carmen, at Mystic Tea Salon with a song. If you smile at me, I will understand, because that is something everyone everywhere does in the same language. That's right. Smile. My NDE was a short blackness, nothing to tell. I had an amazing conversation with my cashier at Walmart about her NDE, says Mary Root. I'm very glad to hear that. That means you're the checkout person at Walmart. Could mention that to as many people as pass through if it seems appropriate. That's what I'm talking about. Normalizing it. A public conversation. That's a beautiful thing, Mary. Thanks for telling us. I need God. I'm kind of screwed without God. Yeah, me too. I'm totally. I'm dependent. Clicking the thumbs up right next to. Click the thumbs up. Share and save buttons. It does affect the mysterious algorithms that get this video into more people's awareness. Thanks, Carmen. It's true. Liking makes a difference. I declare that I had an NDE and numerous ADCs, after death communications. Thanks, Mary. Declare it. ADC, me too. An NDE. Say it out loud. After death communication. I'm 62 and had an NDE at 18, which is clear today which is as clear today as it was when it happened, says Tiffany. I knew there were NDEers among us. Keep declaring yourself. I want to hear it over and over again. I think I had an NDE whilst asleep. All I recall is a black tunnel with white edges and having to come back because my mom needed care in her terminal cancer days. That has the hallmarks of it, Cal. That has hallmarks of it. Candyman, interesting. Wondered if it still felt new. It does. NDEs, that's one of the things about them, is they always are new. They feel new because they don't actually end. At least mine hasn't. I could speak from my experience. It's ongoing. Sure, the journey itself, that happened a long time ago. But the presence of the journey is always living inside of me. It's always new and always here. I think others too. Thank you for taking the shame away from these experiences, says Mary. Let's take the shame away. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thanks for saying so, Mary. Thanks for putting your shame aside too. Bill, we come from love and to love we will return. Yes, thank you, Peter. You're welcome. It's totally true. I actually just got told about my goodness yesterday. It's truly bizarre, says Elaine. It's serendipity. You are goodness itself. And if you go back in this series, you'll see where I've made some videos about that just recently in the past month or two. Cool analogies between the Tower of Babel and technology. Thank you, Carmen. Twitch. We are legion and everywhere. Hope not, if you know what I mean. No, I said that on purpose. Um, just to be funny. But we are everywhere. We are the light itself everywhere. What is the book with the face that's blurry to me? I'll bring it up to the front. This is the book. The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, Discovering the Woman at the Heart of Christianity by Cynthia Bourgeault. A long time ago, Cynthia and I taught I don't know how long it was, 6-month meditation centering prayer class when we lived on nearby islands. She used to sail over to the island I lived on, and we'd teach this. She'd spend the night and sail back the next day. She's a brilliant scholar and a deep mystic. And we share Theophane Boyd and Thomas Keating and Basil Pemington and centering prayer in the monastery in common. Let's see what else we got. We're gonna end us here soon. So if I didn't get to somebody, I'm sorry about that, but I did the best I could. I must be a cool dad. Thanks. I liked it. I hope so. I'm glad to get invited along. It's an honor to be invited. Thanks for teaching in a language that speaks to you. PLR, I'm always hoping that my language reaches people. So thank you for telling me that. I try to keep it approachable, and also I try to keep it approachable. Thanks. Yes, I do have the meaning of Mary. Yes, I do. All right. Let's see. Way down at the bottom here. I'm going to skip right to the end of the chat. Hugs to everybody. Hey, Rob. Thanks, Jan. I had an NDE during an ablation surgery, says Tim. There you go. There you go. Another NDE. One of the reasons why I built this, not church, is an attractant, as a hopeful attractant to near-death experiencers, to find a place to begin to learn language, to talk about their experience, and especially if they're culturally or contextually out of some sort of Christian background, not necessarily though, but just to try to give you some way of conversing. All right. Hey, Maggie, Glasgow catching up after a walk in the sun. Hey, welcome, Maggie. And we're about to go off to Mystic Tea Salon. I'm going to go and I'm going to turn that on. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Dead Sea Scrolls. Mary said that Jesus told her after death she would encounter evil and not to be afraid. Thank you for saying that. All right, my friends. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for liking it. I'll see you in a couple of minutes at Mystic Tea Salon. Peace and love, everyone. Peace. Namaste.